So yesterday we talked about Berkshire Hathaway's 13F. The two big investments that jumped off the page were Verizon Communications and Chevron, the big integrated oil and gas company, bought like $12 billion combined between those two. And what I wanted to do today is take a little different approach and just let's all look at that whole portfolio, $200 billion plus that Berkshire owns, and name one stock in the Berkshire portfolio that you'd buy right now and hold for a decade. Brian Withers.
So Buffett's investing style is a little bit different than mine. And I was going through and Mondelez and Procter and Gamble and Kraft, and I'm just like, I'm not excited. And then I got down to the S's, and then there is Snowflake.
There it is, right?
And
that
I'm
was
like,
that
there
was
you go.
Ted, was that Ted Weschler or Todd? I think it was maybe Todd Combs, one of his lieutenants, that made that investment. But go ahead. I knew that's where you were going to go here.
There was of all these other ones, Snowflake is a little bit of a high risk, high reward stock. It's run up the prices. It's extremely pricey right now. But if you're going to hold it for 10 years, what that business does and the product that they provide customers, that's the Wayne Gretzky thing. That's where the puck is going. So having your data in the cloud is a long-term trend. And I think Snowflake will benefit over the long term. I don't own it yet. I'm still stuck on the valuation. Yes, Jason, I'm actually stuck on the valuation.
So I bought that one on the day of the IPO, right?
Yeah,
I heard that story.
I know. I can't believe I'm behind Jason on this one. But they're a really cool company. They got a lot going for them. If you're interested in them, buy one share, buy a half a share, and just watch and see what happens.
That's great. I knew you'd go there, but it's great. It's absolutely great. Danny Venna, what do you got here? What's your one stock in the Berkshire portfolio that you'd buy right now and hold for a decade?
Anybody that has heard me talk on this program about stocks in general, this will be no surprise to anyone. I would buy Apple.
Yep.
Apple is a company that has a long-term track record. This is a company that just released its biggest iPhone ever. They've got a 2 to 3 year refresh cycle in front of them. We're talking about the largest percentage of wearables revenue and the largest percentage of services revenue last year than any previous year. And the fact that they're going to sell probably in the neighborhood of 350 million iPhones over the next couple of years with this new refresh cycle. Folks get an iPhone 12 and the next thing you know, they're signing up for more services. They're buying more wearables to go along with it. So this is a company that Buffett loves, and Buffett loves it so much. He said, I own 5% of the company. I'd own 100% of it if I could. And this is not recent business. When you talk about what's happened with the most recent 13F, what you're seeing is that they sold off just a little bit of it. Well, they do that pretty much every quarter so that they can keep the amount of the value of the stock below regulatory limits for reporting purposes. So I don't think when you see those small sales, don't take that as a sign that Buffett loves Apple any less. And then also I'll mention, and then we'll move on. But Apple has doubled its dividend since 2012. The value of the dividend is up 116%, even though it's got a very low yield. So if you're looking for a stock that you want to buy and hold for the next 10 years, I don't think you can go wrong with Apple.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting things here with Apple it's like the perfect Buffett stock. It's his Coca-Cola part two, because it's a company with an incredibly powerful brand, and that brand is a durable competitive advantage that allows the company to generate enormous cash flows that it then returns to investors with a meaningful dividend that it increases regularly, right? And oh, by the way, when the company also has a pretty aggressive share repurchase program, that's the trifecta for Berkshire. I mean, that's Buffett's three favorite things right there. So yeah, it's absolutely, and it's not even close that this is Berkshire's most successful, even only it's been like 5 or 6 years. This is Berkshire's most successful single investment. It's generated a bit more dollars in returns than any other investment in the company's history. Ever. Right. It's ever. Okay, well, guys, I'm gonna say of all the stocks in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio, the one, and it's almost a tie for me between Visa and MasterCard, but I'm gonna lean MasterCard, ticker MA. And the reason I'm going to go this way is because I think in terms of digital payments, electronic payments, the growth of the global middle class, there are a few companies as well positioned as MasterCard is. Number one, it has a massive global position already with its payments network and huge, powerful competitive advantage in the network effects there, because merchants want to accept MasterCard because they want shoppers to go there. Shoppers want to carry a MasterCard because they want access to easy payments at all of the merchants that they prefer. And banks want to offer MasterCard because they want access to the customers who are shopping, and they need to have a payment network that's going to be part of, that's going to be connected to the merchant. So it's this three-legged stool that all three legs are really important. And the more merchants, the more shoppers, the more financial institutions or partners, it strengthens all three legs of that stool. This is a company that's not at risk from the growth of other kinds of payment platforms, because a lot of them still ended up getting routed through MasterCard's payment network. I think it's something that people are also sleeping on, because you think, wow, everybody has a card in their pocket. Everybody doesn't. Everybody in developed countries do. But around the world, cash is still king. Electronic payments are becoming more and more important as the global middle class grows. And here's the big one to me. Retail commerce is like, I don't know, maybe 25% of the global money moving market. The company, you start looking at business to business transactions, you start looking at cross-border transactions, you start figuring out all of these other ways that money gets moved between parties. And it makes the opportunity something like $150, $160 trillion versus the $40 trillion opportunity for the merchant services kind of stuff that they do now. So it's an enormous, enormous opportunity. It's also a stock that hasn't performed very well. It's basically flat over the past year because its business has suffered because of the economic implications of the coronavirus pandemic. I think post-COVID, when people start getting out and returning more to our normal way of living and doing commerce, I think MasterCard's business is going to continue to deliver double-digit growth, and the dividend's going to grow by double-digit rates, and it's going to be a winning stock for the next 20 years.